Freelancer Codex podcast. Your hosts, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devon, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Strap into your javelins and let's drop in.
Welcome, freelancers, to episode 55 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the longest-running Anthem podcast on the internet. I am your host, Steve, along with my two co-hosts today, Devon and Mike. Guys, hi.
Hi.
What's going on, man? What's going on?
It's one of those days where we're facing a lot of technical issues.
But they're not our issues this time.
I don't know whose issues they are, but they're preventing us from doing a video this week, and there's just a lot of stuff that kind of makes it really frustrating. It's like we've gone back in time to when we first started doing this, and microphones weren't working, videos weren't working, computers weren't working. We didn't even know what Anthem was all about, and it was just kind of a mess. And now we're kind of back to that. We'll have to excuse JD. He had a family emergency that he had to attend to, so we hope everything is going well with JD. So all well wishes to him and to his family. Guys, it has been a week. It has been a week of not a ton of information. I mean, we got some new information, right? We got a blog post from Casey. Seems like they're posting those at the end of each month. We got one recently that we will touch on. It's got a lot of exciting stuff for us to talk about. Not a ton of stuff to talk about, but a lot of exciting stuff that we can talk about. I'm sure everyone has heard it. No one has got any misinformation from the blog post. I'm sure it's crystal clear to everyone on the internet. Mark is not getting any questions about beta releases, release dates, who gets it when, who gets it where, how many colossi you can actually pilot during the show. Not during the show, but during the game. So
During the show.
During the show.
During the show. That's what we're going to call Anthem from now on, the show.
The show.
We're just going to call it the show, like Big Show.
Ready for
The
the
show.
show. This is the greatest show.
Shows in Anthem.
This is the greatest show. This is the greatest show that's been going on for 55 episodes. Man, it's been a long time. So, guys, usually we do a get-to-know-you question. So I want to know, movie you're most excited about that is releasing this year still.
I will go first. And I'm going to go Mary Poppins Returns.
All right, and that's coming out this year?
December 19th? November 19th? It's going to be a holiday release. Is it Mary Poppins Returns or The Return of Mary Poppins? I think it's Mary Poppins Returns. Saw the trailer. Looks good. Dick Van Dyke. Gotta love him.
Mary Poppins Forever?
Something like that. I believe I'm Poppins, y'all. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I'm Papa now.
Do it again?
I don't know. No, don't do it, please.
I'm Papa now. Don't you worry about it.
What?
That's my JD impression. That's what? Oh. JD's not here. Ha! I can do that.
I don't know what happened.
I'm not sure. We've
been a long
degraded
day.
greatly. It has been a long day.
A day.
You've seen some things to this day, haven't you?
I've seen.
Maybe we record too late. Mike, that was a great segue. I should have just not pointed it out and let Devon go with it. But I had to point it out because, greatness should be recognized. So
It's true.
well done,
Steve's kind of new at this. We'll give him a pass.
I think we just record way too late in the day is what we do. We need to pick a better recording time where we're not all super tired.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and second that and say that some daytime recordings would not be the worst thing.
Yeah, but what we can do with our children, right? So.
Yeah, we got children, we got
My
pets.
My kids play soccer on Saturdays.
But you're supposed to be at those games.
Right.
You know what? I've seen them play.
They're not that great. Let's just get it.
We're
Put that
not
out.
that great. All right, back to the get to know you question. Mary Poppins does look good, but I'm looking forward to two movies. The new Harry Potter movie, right? It's not a Harry Potter, but
Oh, what is it?
set in the universe.
50 Shades of Grindelwald? What is it?
Mystical creatures and where to find them.
Yes.
Dangerous.
50 Shades of Dangerous Creatures and where to find them?
Fantastical beasts and how to tame them.
Yes.
Fantastical?
Fantastic.
And then I'm
fantastic.
also looking forward to Venom, right? So
You are looking. I didn't. Okay.
We'll go ahead and give you that redo. But go ahead and say what other movie you're really excited for, like not the fake one that you were obviously making a joke about.
No, I think it looks good. I don't know. It looks interesting to me. There's also that Queen biopic thing or whatever. It's not really biopic, but you know.
Okay, is it biopic or is it biopic?
It's biopic.
Potato?
No.
Biopic?
Yeah, it's a biopic. It's like a biography in pictures. Biopic. It's not a biopic. Biopic, that's like a person with two eyes.
Hey, don't you worry about it.
It is too late. It is too late to
Let's talk about geoarchaeology, okay?
Let's talk about geoarchaeology.
Okay, real quick. We're actually gonna start talking about Anthem. I promise.
Did you tell us what your movie you're excited for, Steve?
No, I don't even know what's coming out because I don't watch movie trailers. So I have no idea what's coming out. So it's kind of like, hey, if we're gonna go to the movies, we're gonna pick from a list. Whatever sounds good, that's what we're gonna see. Whether it's trash or garbage, I don't know. So I'm totally off the. I don't want anything spoiled for any of the movies that we're gonna go watch. So it's gonna be a complete surprise. So I don't even know what's coming out. I didn't even know Revenge of Mary Poppins was going to be released. So
Revenge of Mary Poppins.
So real quick, guys,
I would watch that.
You would. There's 149 days until Anthem gets released on February 2nd. That means there's 142 days until it gets released. For people that have it on Origin Access Premier for PC, they get to play a week early. So that is the 15th of February. People that sign up through Xbox EA Access and the PC Access, they'll also get it, but that's only a 10-hour demo.
Yep. Same with the Xbox. Yep.
Same with the Xbox. And then February 1st is the demo for everybody. So everyone that pre-orders has access to the demo, whether it's pre-ordered on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation, you have access to the demo. We don't know right now how long that's going to be. We do know that so far there's only one. We don't know if it's going to be a 3-day demo. We don't know if it's going to only be another 10-hour demo. But right now, that's all they have announced. So a lot of people are asking if there's more than one. A lot of people are asking how long it is. We don't know if there's going to be more than this. It doesn't sound like there is. I would imagine if there were going to be multiples, they would have announced it ahead of time. Right now, February 1st is very close to the 15th release date. So I can't imagine that they will have more demos than that. I think there's only one more weekend between that time. So if they were going to do another weekend demo, might only be one, but that's right before the game releases, right before the PC actually gets to get a week before everyone else does. So far, that's all the information that they've given out about the demos. They haven't said anything about, they did announce the alpha test. We'll talk about that later. But as far as we know right now, normal people, all of us normal people, we don't have access to the alpha. We don't have access to the beta. They are not open. So they're all closed. They haven't said anything. I don't think they're going to say anything about it. Right now, it's pretty tight-lipped on all that stuff. So I wouldn't hold your breath for access to an alpha or access to a beta. If they were going to, I'd imagine they would have already been teasing that or that you got access. There's been a lot of stuff on Reddit where people have been saying that you do get alpha access and beta access. There's no real basis to that statement. We haven't seen anything official from anyone. So I would, if anyone starts saying that you get access to the alpha and beta if you pre-order from a certain place, I would call them
shenanigans.
I would call shenanigans on them.
Call shenanigans on that because they haven't announced anything. I don't know if they are going to announce anything, but we'll wait for that.
Because what else can we do? What else can we do but wait? I mean,
you do a podcast. That's what you do. And you talk about random stuff for who knows how long for 55 episodes.
We talk about Anthem stuff.
All right. So continue to talk about Anthem stuff. And then we're going to let Devon tell us about his trip on how that's going to correlate to Anthem. I'm sure it's going to be a great correlation.
Master of segues.
Master of segues. So first of all, we've had some really big news in the gaming industry today in total. So Sony has opened up crossplay for Fortnite, which is a really big deal. It doesn't sound like it's a big deal because it's only for one game right now, But right now, Sony is beta testing their cross-platform play with Fortnite. So everyone right now can play against each other if you opt into those platforms. On all the platforms, you can opt just to play with your own platform or to play with everyone else. So you can play Fortnite against someone that's playing on a PlayStation, someone that's playing on a Mac, someone that's playing on PC, someone that's playing on a mobile phone, and then someone that's playing on an Xbox. I don't think I've played it a little bit with my kids, and we've never opted to play with other people on the platform, so I don't know how the communication works when you're going between that. Yeah. I imagine that's something that if Sony continues to allow cross-platform play with other people, that's something that the developers will have to figure out, whether they're using their own system for communication.
It's just team chat. Because I've done it before with like when I was playing on Xbox and one of my friends was on PC, and it's just you're just in team chat. So. Okay,
so pretty seamless. You get in team chat.
Yep.
You can't really make parties across the systems, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a big deal. This puts us one step closer to Anthem being, you know what? If you have it on PC, you have it on Xbox, we can play with each other.
Well, I mean, it gets it closer to the ability. I mean, just because they allow it doesn't mean the developer has put that technology forth, right? So.
Right, and I think this is something, if you're a developer, and in my mind, I'm not a developer, but in my mind, this is something that you want for your game.
Yeah.
You want the biggest amount of people that can play with each other, because that means you're not dividing your player base based on features of what this platform has compared to what this platform has. You're really just, you're putting all your people into one group so you can better cater to them without having to separate them. In my mind, that's the desire for any developer to have. Yeah. This is with a group of people, we can throw all this stuff at them, and no matter where they're playing, they have access to all the content that we can put out. I don't know how things like exclusivity would handle this kind of stuff. Like if Sony has rights with Activision to produce stuff for Destiny, they get their extra strikes, they get their extra weapons at a certain time. I don't know how that would work if you're trying to team up with people that have a strike, you don't have a strike, how that all works out.
They probably just wouldn't put it in there in the pool for, crossplay. So.
Right, and things like that are, the things that a developer would have to consider. Whereas they can say, nope, everyone has access to this stronghold, or if you bought it on PlayStation, you get, 4 extra strongholds. Hopefully stuff like that doesn't happen in Anthem, because that kind of stuff is just really annoying. And then, exclusivity deals really, really bug me. But I think this is a great step for gaming as a whole, because it puts us closer to that parity of just, it doesn't matter what you buy. You can play with friends that have, different consoles or have purchased different things for other reasons. It makes it so that everyone's just kind of playing together. And I think that's the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Mike, you have opinions.
I do, and I'm thinking here, okay, so I'm a manufacturer of said gaming console. And you know what? If I want people to buy my console versus the other console, I'm going to want to shop for those studios that give me some exclusivity, because then it's the draw to that console. I can understand it as a business plan, a business model to get the exclusive stuff so that people come to your console. I can understand that happening. I don't know if, cross-play capability is, of course, what everybody wants to do, right? Because you want to play with everybody. You don't want it to be a thing. But I can also see it being a thing. It's the whole Adidas versus Nike, Xbox versus PlayStation, Cool Ranch versus Nacho Cheese. Everybody thinks theirs is better, and at the end of the day, I think you're still doing the same stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're still friends with the guy that wears Nikes, right?
Yeah, I think so. Are Xbox people and PlayStation people not friends?
Well, the problem is with that, it's like you can still play basketball with a guy that's wearing Nikes, right?
I guess that's true.
Wearing those shoes doesn't prevent you from, shooting hoops together.
Right.
But, someone having a PlayStation, someone having an Xbox prevents them from playing Anthem together.
If everything is level across the board, yes, I see your point. But in the case of, we'll use Destiny as the example because that's what we played when we when we've kind of balked over the whole Sony exclusivity thing. I mean, they had the strike a year before we did. They had the weapons a year before we did, like a whole year. I mean, I get maybe a week, maybe a month, but a year, like that doesn't make any sense.
That was excessive amount. They took it to beyond excessive. There was some stuff that Xbox didn't get for 2 whole years that Sony had exclusive, and by the time it comes out, it's like, what's the point of even having that?
What's the point? This is so low powered now that nobody uses
everything, right?
So, yeah.
Which there's not enough space to collect everything anyway, so it didn't matter.
Right, and then from a developer standpoint, it's like, okay, I'm going to make this really awesome strike that only 2/3 of the people that own our game are going to be able to see. Like, I would think you would want everyone to be able to experience that. So I would think it kind of feels bad for a developer to be like, sorry to all you guys that didn't buy it on this console for whatever reason, but you're not going to have access to this piece of content that I've been working on.
Money.
But again, that's not the developer, right? That's
I'm not saying that they're like that's their goal. I'm saying the developer, like, if you're developing something for your game, you want as many people to see it as possible, right?
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah. I think when you're making a level, you don't care that whoever bought whichever system. You just like, I'm going to put all the hard work into making this as cool as I can, and I want everyone to be able to enjoy it. And when you have a deal like that, a portion of the group can't do it, can't experience it for something out of your control, because that's like, marketing deals and all that other stuff that, you as a level designer, you don't care about that stuff. You're just making the coolest level that you can, and you want people to see it. So,
yep.
That's what we think anyway, right? That's the lawful neutral, the neutral.
Yeah, well, I mean,
chaotic,
when you're working
neutral.
there, you're making your stuff. You don't want it to be, exclusive, but there's nothing you can do because it's a business, right? And people get what they pay for, and so if Sony or Microsoft, somebody else throws a lot of money behind the game, they're gonna get exclusivity and get what they're asking for the money that they're putting in. That's basically what Sony got with Destiny, and
Yeah, Mike, that's like your kids come to school one day and you separate them by whoever has Nikes, whoever has Adidas, and you're like, all right, kids with Adidas, you get to play basketball for 30 minutes before the kids with Nikes get to play.
Pretty sure I'd be in jail.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. So, and that's not something like you're like, okay, well, this is the rules, and I came here to teach the kids basketball, and this is a rule that was set in place before me.
Right.
So, your hands are tied at that point, but you want everyone to have fun. But half your kids can't have fun, so you give them, a shuttlecock, and you have them play badminton, because everyone loves to play badminton.
I think you just wanted to get that word in.
All right. So
Batman is a fun word.
Moving on.
Mark's still at it, still answering tons of questions. I can't figure out if Mark is a bot or if people have made bots to talk with Mark on Twitter, or if they're all bots and they're all just something like this circle that keeps going. Because he's answered a bunch of questions of the same people that have asked the same question multiple days in a row. Anyway, Potato Man 123 asks on Twitter, this is probably taking customization too far, but can you change the color of the fabric padding inside the javelins? So when the player enters one, it can look a bit different. And Mark says, we have discussed this, not at launch, but maybe later. And he says, at least get some Febreze up in there. Which I'm guessing, if that's some leather padding, you're sweating in that thing's going to be pretty rank. Hopefully there's like some pressure washers in the fort where you can spray this stuff out.
No, there's no microchips.
You don't need a microchip for a pressure washer.
Hey,
you do need microchips to mass produce Febreze. I'm guessing.
Well, so, and don't you need microchips for a heads-up display? Just saying.
Nope.
Well, this isn't a heads-up display. We have ciphers looking over our shoulder telling us what to do. So as we talk about customization, they've talked about being able to change color, being able to change the look of a lot of the stuff. But this is like on a whole new level that I didn't even think about. I never even thought about being able to change the interior of the javelin that we're flying, because we see that for maybe, so far we've seen it for like a split second. As we get inside of it in the Strider,
you see it when it's just sitting there, right? So
if it's open, yeah, right.
So what do you guys think? Do you guys want the ability to change like the interior of your javelin, or is this something that's like
no, irrelevant? Move on.
I think it's totally fine. I mean, if they want to go to that level of customization, that's great, and people can customize those things.
You can't change the color of your interior in Forza.
Who cares? That's a different game.
Exactly. Who cares? Move on.
Well,
Next
I'm saying
question.
who cares about
Pass.
what you're saying? No.
This is how Mark feels all the time. You know that, right?
It's just
He's like sitting at his computer going, "Are you serious?" Next.
So-
Move
Hey.
on. The game is big, guys. It's not 100 megabytes.
Okay, so
Come on.
So my question is, because we're going to be able to purchase a lot of customization, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's the price you put on the color of the interior of a javelin? Like, you're going to be able to unlock. I'm guessing we're going to be able to unlock, different colors, customizable.
So you have different
art.
fabrics.
Do that. I don't know how that happens if you go to a vendor or something. but-
Cardboard, suede, crushed velvet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how do you put a price on that? Like, I'm not too concerned about
Like this. 5 beryllium shards. Moving on. Next question.
I don't think Mike likes it.
We'll just mute Mike for a little bit, and then we'll have an adult conversation.
Hey. Hey now.
Because we don't know how drops are gonna work. But would you guys be disappointed if you get like, an interior color drop
Yes.
from an activity or something?
I would so be disappointed if that was part of my reward. Here you go. Here's the pink interior shader, and I'm going, are you serious?
They've already talked to us about that shaders and customization stuff is going to drop from activities, from enemies and things in the game.
But
So-
yes, but an interior shader. I would be angry at an interior shader.
Maybe that's
The
you.
exterior I'm fine. Exterior shader
I'm not going to
fine.
mind about it. I mean, it's a shader. To me, a shader is a shader, right? Whether it's exterior or interior, it's still something for me to look at and a way for me to customize that javelin to the way that I want. So I want them to be able to do that, but if they don't, I'm also still fine with that. So
Seriously?
yeah, I want to be able to customize my javelin the way I want it to look.
Even the interior aspect that you see for a glitch of a second.
Yeah.
When you're loading.
When I
in.
have it sitting there on my pedestal and I walk around, I'm like, dang, look at that flannel. It looks good.
Did you say flannel or vinyl?
Flannel. It's just like, it's my javelin, all right, and I want it the way I want it.
So you're
Okay.
going the Al Borland style.
Yes, of course.
For all of you kids out there, look up shows from the 90s. Okay, so moving on. Tokyo Game Show came and went. They showed some stuff. I didn't even pay attention too much to the Tokyo Game Show. But they had an Anthem trailer there that showed nothing new. In fact, it showed a lot of old footage. From
Pre-E3 2018 footage.
Right. So they showed the Our Story trailer, a little snippet where they fly through and they've got the music going on and blasting stuff. So nothing new there. I wasn't surprised, so I wasn't as disappointed if I was really hyped up for it. But because they didn't hype it up, I was guessing that there wasn't going to be anything there, and turns out there was nothing there. So they showed that off. That was it. Moving on. There's been a lot of talk recently on Reddit about level caps, and there's been a lot of people speculating that the level cap is going to be 30, which I think is pretty interesting because we've seen the level from 2017 to be above 30. So I don't exactly know where a lot of people have been getting this information from. Have you guys been seeing anything on Twitter, anything on Reddit or the Discords that have been saying that there's a level cap in the game so far?
No.
I have not heard anything about a level cap.
I've heard them. Everything's in flux right now, right? They're still deciding, making final decisions, and whatever they have. I mean, Mark there has said yes, there is a level cap, but there's things to do beyond the level cap, and what it is they have not decided yet. So I don't know. I think it's just people talking, comparing it to other games and seeing where they did the level cap, and it's like, let them do their own thing, and when they tell us, they'll tell us.
Yeah, and as we talk about level caps, and usually we talk about level caps, you hit the cap, you're kind of done with the story, you move on to other things. My question to you guys is like, should the journey in Anthem be the reward, like starting from 1 and going to whatever the cap is? Should that be the main reward, or should the main reward of the game be like, chasing down the gear, chasing down the equipment during the Elder game? Because there's a lot of talk from a lot of the other games that we've played that it seems like you burn through the story as quickly as possible to get to what you really want. And I guess my question is, how much of that initial story is part of the reward for you guys? Because for me, I mean, that the story is really what's going to set Anthem apart from other games that we've played recently, because other games really haven't had that much of nothing that really sucks you in other than, oh, this number is higher than this number, let's equip this number. And that normally doesn't happen until the end of the game. So where do you guys fall on that? Like, how much do you want it to just be chasing that number, or chasing the next quest and figuring out what that next interaction is?
So I will have to say that speaking of Destiny, which is a game that although I think the three of us can agree had its problems near the end, when we first got into Destiny, I think it was for us, and I don't want to speak for anybody, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for us, when Destiny 1, when we first got into it, it was definitely the journey was a reward, because there were 6 of us going in there. We were working hard during the week to get our levels up to do, the raids, the higher end game stuff, and we were working to be able to do that together. So we would have to work during the week to get our levels up, get our gear, chase that gear, and then we would have our payoff. When we would try the raids when they first came out, and we would have our, just our fun times then. And I think, if I'm not right, that was our reward for that. And it sounds like Anthem is being built the same way, which makes me excited, because there hasn't been a game that I have gotten into like that since Destiny. And like I said, we know it has its problems, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that an accurate statement about our time with Destiny?
I don't think there's anything wrong with you saying that you like Destiny.
I don't. No, and I'm not saying that there is something wrong with me saying it. I spent a lot of time with it. I think the reason I'm so jaded on it is because I liked it so much, and because I spent so much time with it, and then it turned into something that no one wanted, and so, if that makes any sense, I mean, it turned into something that we were just done with because we felt, I think, that we were taken advantage of. I don't know if that's the right word. But it fell flat. We know that about Destiny. But like I said before, I think the thing that we enjoyed the most was playing as our group, giving each other the business when we would fall off a cliff, or when we were stuck in a menu, or when Devon took our whatever it was that he took, because that's what he does. And so.
So not so much like the rewards, but your reward for playing that game was just the social interaction that you had with your group.
I think for me it was. I mean, there was definitely when you finally got Yargle Gargle for your loot drop, you were like, yeah. And when everybody got Icebreaker finally, but I mean, I think those things, I think they're hand in hand. I think, but I think if one is more heavy than the other, then I think the experience is a little bit lessened that way. I think you have to have both. I don't know. What do you guys think?
All right. So for me, I think I enjoy the story. I mean, if we're going back to, like, we burned through the story to get to the end game content, or the elder game content. I wasn't like trying to say, okay, let me burn through this and not pay attention. It just became like in Destiny, it was like, there really is no story, so we're just burning through this to get to the activities that are fun for us. Because we can't really all get together to play through the story. I mean, a couple of us can play, but not all of our friends that we're playing with. And there was just no point. So it's like, well, let's just burn through this crap, and because there's garbage story, and that really doesn't mean anything, and we'll get to the activities where we can have fun together and keep grinding for that gear. I'm hoping for Anthem that story matters. Obviously, they've put a lot of work into the story, and at least based on what they've told us. So
yeah, exactly. At least they told us they have.
Yeah, and so I'm hopeful that there's going to be a lot of, hey, we're going to be grinding through story content, and we're going to be playing through a lot of story content, and what you do after you've completed the main, objectives, the beginning, the middle, the end of the main first story that they're telling in Anthem, and then get to the elder game content and whatever you're doing on the day-to-day basis. hopefully that still has merit, and it's not just okay. We finished it, and there's nothing else we need to do, because that's really kind of there's a mix of all kind of things of why I stopped playing Destiny, but really it was we're getting screwed over on content that we already paid for. There was no story. It's just grinding for the same thing. And they made it so we had to play on their terms and at their time to get the items that we should be able to get. And I'm fine with seasonal events, but
are you referring to the time gating of certain things?
Oh yeah, the time gate crap, or it's like you have to play on this at this time in this mission and on this night, and it's like if I can't play that, oh well, you're screwed then. Sorry, that's your loss. And so I don't like that at all, because not everybody has the same time to play the game, and if you're gonna make us rearrange our whole lives to try and sit down and play that game, that's something that I'm not gonna play, and something I'm not gonna support for long at all, because I'm already bellied on it from Destiny. So if that's stuff that's in Anthem in that direction, then it's not going to be a success for me, and it's just going to be instant fail, and just be like, if you're trying to force me to play your way instead of being able to play my way and then the time that I have, then I don't want to play your game. So
yeah,
fair enough. All right, Devin, you went on a trip recently, and you assured us that this was going to be Anthem related. So tell us how your trip correlates and bring it all together for us.
Yeah, so I went to a couple of national parks today on my journey back for a work trip, and I was driving back, and I happened to go to Canyonlands National Park. And so when we're there, you can see all these lookouts, and you can check out the areas. And they show you these images, and on the YouTube video, I'll put a bunch of my images up there so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But there's the bottom of the valleys and the canyons, and then there's like a middle level for some of the mesas, and then there's higher mesas, and then even higher mesas. So as I was looking there and walking around, and it really gave me a new sense of the verticality, and that's something they've talked a lot about in Anthem, with playing through the game and having verticality, being able to go underground and go above ground, and when I was really looking out there, it just kind of gave me a sense of, okay, there's this certain area, but there is so much more to explore, because now we can be like, okay, I can walk over to this cliff, but now I can look up and I can fly up to the top of that cliff and see what's on top of there. And from my viewpoint with the lookouts, you could kind of see down on most everything, except for the stuff that was taller than your viewpoint. And it's like, okay, you have a different perspective in everywhere you're at. And so when we were driving around, if we were at the bottom of a cliff, there was a different perspective. If we're, after a little while of driving, you could have another lookout that's halfway up the canyons. And it just gave me an idea of what it's going to be like in Anthem, or what I hope it'll be like in Anthem, based on what they've talked to us about and what they've shown. And really, I kept thinking to myself, I really wish I had a javelin right now. And then I would walk away from the edge, because I'm like, all right, this is real. This is the real world, and I don't have a javelin, so I don't want to run off this edge. And I just want to run and jump, and fly off in a javelin and just cruise around. And I can't wait to really see what that's going to be like. And instead of just us trying to picture and imagine, okay, how big is this world, and how does this really play in, and when we get to finally play it and, really understand what they're talking about with verticality. And I think just looking at those kind of things, and just looking, down into those canyons and looking up, and just seeing the different levels that they have and how it really does look different depending on where you're at. So I think that's something they have going for them with Anthem, as long as they can pull it all off. So.
Yeah, and I think as we look at the 2017 reveal trailer, when our javelins jump off of the tower for the first time, I mean, you can really see how high up Fort Tarsis is compared to everything else. And that's not something that, like you said, we're not used to that in games. We're used to, a flat plane that this is what you have access to. There's a little bit of incline or going through tunnels, but not on the level that we've seen just from jumping off of the fort. Because, I mean, the draw distance that you can see it's huge and it's expansive. And it does make you feel like, wow, this is a really big world. And I can imagine, like, standing on the edges of those cliffs, you're like, wow, You know, if you ever go to the Grand Canyon, you stand at the edge of the Grand Canyon, you realize how small you really are and how big that canyon really is. And it does give you that, you know what, this could be something special in a game that we haven't seen before. We've seen big worlds. We've seen worlds like The Witcher. We've seen, giant open world games like the Assassin's Creeds. But again, it's flat plains with buildings in there. Now we're talking about giant mountains, floating rocks in the air, diving underwater, and just being able to expand on this world and use all the world that they're creating. So pretty cool. I'm excited to see the pictures that you took because I've never been to any of those national parks and they look pretty amazing. So
yeah, and they're like not far from us. You should take your family and check them out.
Really? Where's Canyonlands?
It's by Moab.
That's Moab.
It's less than 4 hours away for us.
I drive through Moab all the time. I never stop there. I need to stop there.
Moab's there's a stop even a 45 minutes before Moab. So
Moab is like a piece of another planet. Like
it is, dude.
Yeah. To the Earth, and now I'm here on the Earth now. Yeah, beautiful country. All right, so real quick, we're gonna get into the big news that. Are you guys considering this big news? We'll let the listeners decide if this is big news or not. So, Mike, I'm gonna let you read the statement from Casey Hudson. Do you want to read the whole thing, or do you want to go paragraph for paragraph here, switching off?
I'll read it.
Okay, can you read it in the voice of a 1950s detective?
Just read it regular.
1950s, Shay. I'll punch in the mushy.
Yep, there you go, man.
It was 20 years ago when I joined BioWare. September 8th.
You start out like that too, right?
September 8th, 1998.
You walked into my door.
I had just finished my degree in mechanical engineering at the University of Alberta and found out through local TV that there was a video game studio right here in Edmonton. I spent the summer talking with the founders, Greg and Ray, about joining BioWare as a technical artist, and they offered me a job.
Is it that easy, really? You just got to go talk to someone, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you have a job?"
Back then,
you know what? I'll say in '98 that it was. I'm gonna go ahead and say that in '98 it was that easy.
20 years ago.
It was 20 years ago, man. 20 years ago. Back then, we were a small independent studio, under 50 people, but we were working on a game that was highly anticipated around the world. Baldur's Gate was a few months from release. Even though I was hired as an artist, my first task was to help test its multiplayer feature. Sir, please come in this room and play this video game for money.
Oh, okay, sir. I can do that.
I also moonlight as Mickey Mouse
in the world are
at Disneyland.
Punch you.
I was impressed with the version. I was impressed with the version for the game.
With the vision.
The 1950s detective can't read. Okay.
That's right. What did I say? Did I say version?
Yes.
I was impressed with the vision
times.
for the game. Sorry. Recreating on the PC experience of playing pen and paper D&D with friends, being able to adventure together with your friends as a team of heroes, even if they were playing from another city or country, was a magical experience, and one that made a strong impression on me about our mission and as a studio. We knew we had something special. Baldur's Gate had fun gameplay, impressive visuals, and rich storytelling with memorable characters. And beyond that, we were excited about its potential to bring players together. 20 years later, I'm having the exact same feeling. It was that burrito plate I had. Sorry. Last week, the Anthem team passed its alpha milestone, meaning that every part of the game is in and functioning. It's a ton of fun to play, full of engaging character moments and storylines. But it's also exciting to see people around the office and at our partner studios grouping together for adventures in this new world we've created. BioWare games have always been about capturing a shared experience, whether through a party of fictional characters or other players. And somehow the idea of players being immersed together in the universe of Anthem makes the setting seem even more real. These days, the energy around the office feels a lot like it did back then on Baldur's Gate, where the team was starting to get a sense of the magic they've created together, and there's growing excitement about finally releasing it into the world. When is the beta? Can we all play it at the same time? Who gets access to the beta first?
want you to
These are the questions.
Reach your hand up really high.
These are the questions we need to know the answer to. There's a ton of work ahead, but everyone knows that they need to do it and is working with a level of passion and effort that is truly inspiring. The team has been working incredibly hard to reach Alpha, and considering the complexity... Oh, Alpha confirmed. Look at that. Confirmed. We probably already knew that, huh?
Yeah.
And considering the complexity and scale of the game like Anthem, hitting this milestone on time is a tremendous achievement. So what's next? Now that all the important pieces are in the game, we can move almost entirely to bug fixing, testing, and tuning, which will be an incredible amount of work on a game this big. We have some really ambitious plans for launch and beyond, and we really want to get it right. We will have news soon about when you can learn more about Anthem and try it out yourself.
Real quick before you carry on, Mike, with that last paragraph, like them hitting a milestone on time, like he says it's a tremendous achievement, but I don't think it I think he's underplaying that. Like it very rarely happens, I think, where milestones are actually hit in a timely manner. Like any other game developer that you talk to, there's delays because they're polishing, delays because they want to make changes, delays because things aren't working. But like them actually hitting their alpha milestone, like that seems pretty huge from like outsider perspective. Hearing about so many other delays that games have gone through, like that's kind of a big deal, which means they're probably being managed really well, which is, you know, it bodes well for the game if they're hitting these milestones that they've actually planned for. Like a lot of people might read over that and be like, oh, you set a date and you hit the date. That's great. It's like, no, I think that's actually a pretty big deal that they were actually able to hit that milestone on time. So, I mean, I guess the game wasn't ever really delayed. It was never going to come out, you know, and if the first announcement was to be believed, the game should be coming out around this time, but I don't think that was a realistic time frame ever. But, you know, props to them for hitting their milestone, because I think that's a pretty big deal. Carry on. Wayward son.
My wayward son.
I'll tell you what's important to me after you finish.
My turn?
Yep.
Your turn.
Okay. Sorry, Devon. Until then, no.
So anyways, what I was saying... No, just kidding.
Until then, know that your support means everything to us. Seeing so many of you at PAX for the Our World My Story panel, your encouraging words, and great questions on Twitter. Is there a little sarcasm in there?
That might be sarcasm. You know, now that you read that out loud.
It makes a difference because all the effort the team puts into making these games is really fueled by the hope that in the end, you will like what we have made. Even though we've passed a huge milestone, there's still a lot to do. So like Halleck says, you're going to play your,
Yes, I'm going to play my if I can find it.
Freelancer,
Okay.
Time to get to work.
So let's do that again. And as we've passed through this huge milestone, there's still a lot to do. So, like Halleck says...
Freelancer, time to get to work.
It's like
Look at that. Seamless. Seamless. It's like we've been doing this for ages.
I'm not. So, Devon, you had a comment.
Yeah, right. So what he said there, you know, something important was in that paragraph where it says, last week the Anthem team passed its alpha milestone, meaning that every part of the game is
like a kidney stone.
Yeah, no, those
We
are
passed
horrible.
the alpha stone.
But so earlier in this episode, we were just talking about level cap. Things that we were saying, oh, things are in flux, right? Nothing is in flux anymore. They have everything in the game. It's all finalized. And now, like he said, they're moving on to basically all bug fixing. So that's a big deal, right? So they've decided on everything for the launch of Anthem. This is how it's going to be. This is what it's going to be. And now we can bug test. And just refine it, hone the game, and make everything work amazing.
But that's not to say that everything in there is what we'll see at launch. Because what if a bug is so big that something has to be taken out?
Yeah, I mean that would be the only case of
Right.
where something would have to be taken out. Like if it continues to
if it
break the
just
game and they
won't
can't
work,
fix it in
yeah.
time.
If it just won't work, if that cape just won't fly the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, but I think
You know,
for the most part, you know, everything that's there now is probably going to make it, unless like we just said, you know,
Everything that's there now is happening now.
it's happening now. So I don't know if you know this or not, but if it's there now,
What happened
it's
to when?
happening now.
What happened to then? We missed it.
No.
When? Just now.
I would say 90% of what's there is going to be there at launch. So
I agree. I think it's and I think it's cool that everything that little piece in there is like really exciting. Every part of the game is in and functioning. I like that he said and functioning.
yeah, because now when they answer questions, they can actually answer questions.
Well,
Oh, what's this? Oh, well, I can actually tell you for sure. This is what there it is.
that will be in at launch. That there are plans to have it in at launch.
Yeah.
I think the real exciting part is also like with 149 days to go, that is a lot of time to squash the bugs. That's a lot of time to polish, get your textures right. To add that. Hey, now if you hit this milestone, maybe you have extra time to add a couple cosmetic items. Maybe add that one crazy weapon that if you had time, you would have added it. So that's a lot of time to get a lot of stuff done, which is really exciting. And hopefully, as we're getting closer, as more information is going to start to release, because like you said, Devon, things are kind of being locked into place. They can start telling us more information, which would be fantastic. They can do that anytime now. But
Yeah.
It's there have been entire games scrapped and then rebuilt in 6 months time.
In a year and a half, Destiny 1 and 2.
And this is the time that that's almost 6 months that they have, or 5 months or whatever, that they have to polish the game and squash the bugs. And there's a lot of bugs in Anthem. There's a lot of giant bugs, a lot of spiders. You got to squash all.
They're gonna have to leave some in for us to kill.
You gotta climb the building and fight bugs. Climb the building and fight bugs.
So we're gonna fight a lot of bugs. So this is great news. This is the big news that we've had. Like I said, they've gone into the alpha stage. Not a lot of other information other than that, other than they've hit that milestone. I mean, for the team, I'm guessing this is probably just huge for them to have hit the milestone on time with a new IP, creating a game that no one's ever played before, something different, and they're on track to complete that. That's got to be a pretty awesome feeling. So that's like coming in, hitting episode 55, and just like hitting the record button. Now I just pulled my headphones out of my ears.
Nailing it. One day we'll hit alpha on the podcast.
One day, man.
Not this day.
We don't have a timeline for that yet, but
We don't.
We'll hit alpha.
We have all the bugs, but it is not this day.
But until the next time we record, which will be episode 56, guys, there's a Shaper Storm on the horizon. And you know what? Storms are bad, right? And you gotta watch out for storms.
Nah.
Storms are bad? No, you don't.
Steven,
We're not helping you set this up.
like you are the best. There is no one better at chaining two ideas together than you. You do it so well.
I can imagine there's some better people there. Until next time, guys, there's a Shaper Storm on the horizon. We'll see you on the other side. What? I forgot that there's a button that I gotta push.
Twitter at Freelancer. On Facebook at
And there's
Freelancer. Email at freelancercodex@gmail.com.
Oh man.
Join the
Catch you
Discord
guys later.
at freelancercodex.com. Our show will always be free. If you'd like to send some support, you can do so at patreon.com/freelancercodex. Our individual Twitter handles are at Steven Lamson, at mlamson25, at Neverfear, and at JD the Joke Dealer.
Oh man, I didn't record that.
Time to get to work.
You didn't record. We're still recording now. You realize that, right?
I know. I'm just kidding.
A little premature, are you? Performance issues.
No, I planned
What they
that
say.
in its entirety.
1 in 5.
Anyway.